Here we are, Sub-Lieutenant Jones. Space, the final frontier. I am Captain Frank Lee English, and these are the voyages of the starship HMSS Imperialize. Our mission? To explore strange new worlds, to seek out new civilizations, to boldly go where no man has gone before.
Rousing stuff, Captain English, sir.
You really think so? I was afraid it would sound a little bit cliched. The last thing I'd want would be for anyone listening to think that was going to be representative of the quality of all our dialogue throughout this entire voyage.
Perhaps it's best not to heighten expectations too early on, boyo.
Yes, Jones. A healthy dose of self-deprecation should neutralize the mildly xenophobic nature of the mission we've been tasked with by Her Majesty, Queen of Great Britain and of the Commonwealth Realms.
Yeah, so long as we can avoid resorting to trite nationalistic jokes, we should be fine.
Yes, I absolutely agree, Sub-Lieutenant Jones. Well, I'm parched. Who's for tea? You stay here at the controls, Jones, while I navigate to the ship's kitchen facilities to acquire a refreshing beverage. The walk will give me the chance to familiarize myself with the intuitive navigation system.
Can you grab us a cup too?
Certainly, Jones. It will be my pleasure, and as good a reason as any to practice using the intuitive inventory system. I'll be on my way now, just as soon as I choose to exit this chair. I appear to have activated some sort of context-sensitive menu. I should select the... Now, to find the kitchen. If memory serves me correct, it's just down this corridor, beyond the fourth wall. There appears to be something stuck in the drive. Gosh, no matter how many times I keep clicking on things, this drive won't become unblocked. I'll have to think of something else. Cutting-edge 20th century tech. It's Alan's mug, isn't it? It's for my Rosie Lee. Sorry, Cockney crockery. I am feeling rather peckish.
Ah! 你個死英國佬，我縮開你隻手咯喎！
That settled it. I'm going gluten-free when I get back to Old Blighty. I'll just get piping hot tea all over my hands, and I didn't enjoy that the first time. It really takes the misery out of making tea. Of course, the downside of having a sentient being responsible for making the tea is that every so often it forgets how much milk to... Why? It's packed to the rafters with mild English cheddar. That's the radio wave oven. It's the same idea as a conventional microwave oven, except while your meal is cooking, you can listen to the cricket on Radio 5. Just yet.
Any danger of making that tea, boyo?
Awfully sorry for the delay.
Never mind, boyo. How did you manage to carry it in there without spilling any?
Well, I've just been very careful, ever since that whole Deepwater Horizon incident.
I don't really have anywhere to set this. You won't take over the controls from it until I finish. Wouldn't want to spill anything over these expensive electronics.
But of course! Why, if such a thing were to happen, we'd have a real puzzle on our hands.
Just go easy. Keep it steady.
Yes. Okay, right. Yeah, okay.
Venting reserve oxygen supply.
Didn't expect that. Right.
Primary starboard fuel cell jettisoned. Opening rear cargo doors.
Careful, boyo.
No.
Keep it steady.
Right.
Life support systems offline. Flight safe mode disabled.
No.
Commencing cabin depressurization. Daisy, give me your life
Holy
support
cow.
systems offline. Flight safe mode disabled.
Ah! Look what you've done! I told you to keep it steady.
Good heavens! What a waste of perfectly good tea.
I think we should be more concerned about the irreparable damage done to the ship's steering system. Both problems, by the way, are your fault.
Look, obviously, the controls weren't calibrated to account for my superior strength. They were more sensitive than a pubescent poet. Regardless, we'll have plenty of time to argue about this now that we're stranded. Unless, of course, we can replace the controls with something else.
When you say we...
I mean the royal we. I'll sort this out. Don't move. I don't want you dribbling on anything else. Honestly, you're worse than the elderly. Let's see. The animator's rather we leave it on. Less things to move. It appears to be. With great power comes great responsibility. It specifically says no rustling. Now, what do we have here? Ah! Good Lord. It might fit Allard's dainty hand. I've a bit more girth. Without the right tools for the job, I'm not risking it. It might fit Allard's dainty hand. I've a bit more girth. I'm prone to stage fright with an order. I can't use these two together. I doubt combining these two will prove to be particularly useful. I'm sure there's a more practical use for this. We'll agree to disagree about that. Why? It's plenty to share. Best leave some space for alternative dairy produce. There is a procedure that we have to adhere to. Mild green washing up liquid. Surely you can't be serious. Much like humanity's attempts to ease global warming, I think it would be best if I did something else with this. It's not the worst idea I've ever heard. I remember when they talked about keeping BBC Three. There's been a slight infestation. The lower decks are on lockdown. Best stow this for now. I would do well to study these closely in case of an emergency, like we're stranded immobile in space. Why, the humble paperclip, a staple of any adventure gamer's inventory. It's a new packet of batteries, full of potential. The packaging claims they're the ideal size for a host of handheld consumer electronics. It's a popular household brand of washing up liquid.
Have you found something to replace the controls you broke yet?
That sort of stuff isn't tolerated in the workplace. Sub-Lieutenant Jones!
Aye, boyo?
Surely it would take more than a splash of Earl Grey to hold this ship, the zenith of British aeronautical engineering.
You could always give the control column a quick alternating input along the x-axis, just to ascertain if it is indeed no longer functional.
You mean jiggle the joystick left and right?
Isn't that what I said?
Would you like me to go find you a towel to dry off?
No rush, boyo. I'm enjoying this warm, moist sensation. Reminds me of simpler times huddled in my mother's womb.
Gosh, I can hardly remember what I was doing 5 minutes ago, let alone during my embryonic youth.
Well, it was a lot longer ago for you, boyo.
Hey, I'm still down with the kids. Chillax Holmes. Me and my crew keeping it radical, man.
OMG, feel totes orky for you.
Your sister's studying in Swansea. Been down recently?
Not to visit her. A few of us went camping around the Gower, though. It's lovely the further out to the city you go.
Yes. The further the better. Don't mind me. He's excitable enough as it is. He doesn't need any extra energy. I don't think they'd get along. I fear we may need to curtail this imaginative thinking. I'm sure there's another more rational use for this. I'm happy with the... I can't use these two together. I doubt combining these two will prove to be particularly useful. I've never been down with the whole zero. I'm sure there's a more practical use for this. We'll agree to disagree about that. Yeah, let's see. I think it would be best if I did something else with this. It's not the worst idea I've ever heard. I remember when they talked about keeping BBC Three. I don't think they'd get along. I fear we may need to curtail this imaginative thinking. I'm sure there's another more rational use. It'd be terribly brutish for one to resort to force to open this door. I'm sure I'll be able to find a solution, lest I become unhinged. I can't use these two together. It specifically says no rustling. I doubt combining these two will prove... I'm sure there's a more practical use for this. The depravity that goes through... Mercifully, the ultra-absorbent litter goes somewhere to mask the odour. Somewhere. We'll agree to disagree about that. I think it would be best if I did something else with this. It's not the worst idea I've ever heard. I remember when they talked about keeping BBC Three. Let's see if prodding this around fixes anything. Aha! 1.44 megabytes of virgin digital space. I don't think they'd get along. 3.5 inches. It's compact, but still large enough to grip. I fear we may need to curtail the... This computer is full of secret data. .44 megabytes of virgin digital space. 3.5 inches. It's compact, but still large enough to grip. I can't use these two together. I doubt combining these two will prove to be... All of Gertie's software came preloaded, along with a 30-day AOL subscription. I'm sure there's a more practical use for this. We'll agree to disagree about that. I think it would be best if I did something else with this. It's not the worst idea I've ever heard. I remember when they talked about keeping BBC Three. I'll just get piping hot tea all over my hands, and I didn't enjoy that the first time. I don't think they'd get along. I fear we may need to curtail this imaginative thinking. I'm sure there's another more rational use for this. I don't believe the isolation of space has forced me to talk to the furniture just yet. Cutting-edge 20th century tech. It's empty, lacking in substance. They said the same thing about this script. It's empty, lacking in... .44 megabytes of virgin digital space. It's a standard-issue second-hand treadmill, complete with squeaky belt, broken headphone jack, and the thin coating of a stranger's sweat. That's the gravity simulation switch. I can't use these two together. I'm afraid I've nothing useful to hand. I think he's had enough. For now, anyway. Unfortunately, dairy is one of 3 things Sub-Lieutenant Jones is allergic to. The other... I'd be afraid the power would corrupt him.